Hello, YouTube world. I just want to talk to you about the big news from yesterday. And of course, you'd have to be hiding under a rock or on a deserted island somewhere to not have heard the news yesterday about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump at his rally in Pennsylvania. And I'm sure you've seen these photos from the rally of a bloody Trump surrounded by Secret Service agents. This now, the iconic photo, the Iwo Jima type photo of Trump bloodied with the Secret Service around him and the American flag. And, in this video, I just want to show you why it looks to me like this assassination attempt on Trump was a ritual. That's the way it looks, at least to me. And, concerning Donald Trump, in 2020, I was really praying for Trump that he would be saved before the 2020 election. And I've known for many years about the Apollo paintings in, Trump's luxury condo at the top of the Trump Tower. You can look more into this yourself. They have some detailed photos you can look into. One of these, like right here, I believe is a statue of Eros, a painting of Apollo in the background, and here on the top of Trump's condo and Trump Tower, presumably a painting of Apollo. So, for many years I've been aware that it looks like Trump has been involved in the occult and has in the past been running in some shady circles. Here we have a photo of Donald Jr. with the rifle, and take a look at the logo on the rifle, and you'll notice it is an exact match with this Knights Templar pin. It's just an exact match of the symbol. Probably not a coincidence. So, for many years, I've been aware that Donald Trump looks to be involved in the occult and running in some shady circles. But you know what? The Lord can save anyone, and he has brought many people out of Satanism into salvation. Anyone that will just truly believe the gospel and look to the Lord. So in 2020, before the 2020 election, I had really been praying for Donald Trump to be saved and was hopeful that maybe he would be saved. And, what really concerned me and changed things for me was how he handled the one-niner. And specifically, I want to be careful with my words, warp speed. You know what I'm talking about. And the juice and the way he supported the juice. And at one point, I'm sure as many of you know, even called himself the father of the juice. That was very clearly going against the Lord and not doing the will of the Lord. And when he did that and went along with the juice, that was what really made me not trust Trump. And where I was in a place where I didn't really continue in that strong hope that Trump could be saved or would be saved after that. Now, I'm not in God's place, so I don't want to call Trump a reprobate, or I'm careful with that. Some people are reprobates. I don't think there's any way Barack Obama can be saved. There are certain people, Anthony Fauci, I don't think there's going to be any salvation for him. But, long story short, I had really been hopeful for Donald Trump's salvation, was really praying for him before the 2020 election. And when everything went down with the juice and he supported that really made me totally lose trust in Donald Trump. And, since then, he's come out, and now on the campaign trail, he has talked about how wrong Biden was with the mandates for the juice. He's talked about that, how the mandates were wrong. But he's never really come out and repented and really told people the truth about the juice, which is a big part of why I do not trust Donald Trump and look at him as someone who is part of this NWO system in a pawn. And now I know there are brothers and sisters out there that really support Donald Trump. And let me say, this is not an issue that I'm going to break fellowship with anyone. If someone out there, a brother or sister, supports Donald Trump. I don't necessarily, totally agree with you on that, but I'm not going to break fellowship with it. I would just say this to those brothers and sisters out there that support Trump: be careful not to worship and make him an idol, because things have gotten to the level where Trump really is being worshipped like a god with a lot of people. So concerning what happened yesterday, I thought it was very interesting. It kind of reminds you of Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. And I saw one of his heads were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered at the beast. This is, of course, talking about the Antichrist. Now, I do not believe that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. If you watch this channel, I very firmly believe that Barack Obama is that man to send the son of perdition, and nobody would move me off that. For me, I'm certain of that it's Barack Obama. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Not going to break fellowship with anybody, obviously, if we disagree on who the Antichrist is. But it reminded me of that, kind of like it's foreshadowing what's going to happen when presumably the Antichrist, as it looks from the Bible, presumably will be killed and then come back to life, in which he will be, mimic Jesus Christ and be totally possessed by Satan. But what happened yesterday to me was just kind of alluding to that, and maybe a foreshadowing of when it really does happen with the Antichrist. And of course, what I take away from this with the Trump assassination attempt yesterday, I believe, just me, I'm not saying this is a fact or thus saith the Lord, nothing like that. Just to me, it seemed like a warning from God for people to wake up that we are so close to the rapture and then the tribulation period starting. As we see here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul speaking, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." This, of course, speaking about the rapture. You can read on for yourself what it says in chapter 15. So in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. And that gunshot yesterday, that event, happened seemingly in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. I don't believe, that's coincidence, that wording. And it's different from the trump. Some people say, well, that just means trumpet. No, that's a different word. For the trumpet shall sound. That's not saying, it's at the last trump. At the last trump. That's a different word from trumpet. And I've got to believe there's something to that wording of Trump and Donald Trump, where he is on the world stage. And, I had wondered, during his presidency, if the rapture could occur. I know a lot of people were thinking that way. I had thoughts that could be a possibility, but very interesting what we're seeing now. And just at the last trump there in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52. And to me, I've got to believe this is a warning from God. What's going on with Trump right now, that we're right at the doorstep of the rapture and then tribulation. So just to show you some of the things I found interesting, and I'm sure many others have noticed this. So what we've learned and been told is that one man died and apparently two others were in critical condition after being shot. Trump was just shot in the ear. That's what we have seen in the video and been told. So I've not kept up real well with it today, but they had said, from what I'd seen, one man had died, two more were in critical condition. And here we see man killed at Trump rally, identified as firefighter Corey Comparatori, who died a hero. This is apparently that man. Of course, you may have noticed the initials Corey Comparatori, CC33. Obviously, 33, as many of you know, the most common, most important number in Freemasonry and Satanism, representing, among other things, the 1/3 of fallen angels that fell from heaven, 33%. Also mocking the age of Jesus Christ, 33, the age of his death, burial, and resurrection. And I know there are some brothers and sisters out there that are saying that there was actually no shooting, no bullets were really fired, that are saying it's a hoax. And that type of thing is always a possibility with events like this, shootings. But the way I stand on it, I never go that direction unless I know it for certain. My assumption with these types of events, unless I know for certain it was a hoax and there weren't really shots fired, my assumption is always that shots were fired and there were people that were victims, because I don't ever want to make a hoax out of or belittle someone being seriously injured and dying. And so that's where I stand. Hoaxes do happen. Faux or fake shootings do happen. They certainly have happened before, but I never want to speak that way unless I know for a certain that an event was a hoax. Now, with this, my assumption, unless I'm proved otherwise, was that shots really were fired. People really were injured. This man really did die. I never want to belittle or joke around when it comes to people being seriously injured and dying. So my assumption, as we've been told, is that this man, Corey Comparatori, really did die, and that two people really were seriously injured there. That is my assumption at this point. So Corey Comparatori, CC 33, CC 3333. So to me, that obviously marks this where it looks like a Masonic and satanic ritual. At least it looks like it. And another reason why I am in that state of mind when it comes to these shootings and events, where I really assume that they're genuine, real, shots were fired, people were really injured and died, unless I'm overwhelmingly showing proof that it was a hoax, is that another part of that is that unfortunately, these Masons and Satanists that run this world, they want to kill us all. They want more death, more bloodshed, more suffering. It benefits them to kill more people, to make more people suffer. So I'm the way I am. I always lean towards the events as tending to happen as they're stated, unless I'm proving otherwise. So until I'm showing, overwhelming evidence, I always assume that what has been shown of people dying or being seriously injured really did happen as respect to the victims. Because if this man dying, I have deep sympathy for his family. So it was interesting yesterday. We also had on the exact same day, July 13th. Yesterday was July 13th, and I'm sure that got a lot of people's attention, a lot of you watching this channel. So this shooting, this assassination attempt happens on July 13th. 13 obviously being one of the other massively important numbers in the Masonic Satanic world. 13 being the number of rebellion, 13 being a number that is always very commonly associated with ritual sacrifice. 13 also, of course, representing the 13 satanic Illuminati bloodline. So yesterday on July 13th, we also had the death of celebrity Richard Simmons, the fitness instructor. If you're a little bit older like me, you probably remember him from the 80s, running. He was known for running around in his skimpy shorts, all sweaty, and I forget what his videos were called. Dancing to the Oldies, or he had all kinds of, headline videos. But here we see a picture of him, and what do you know? This was taken at the 2013 Macy's Parade, and here we see Richard Simmons dressed in Masonic black and white. Probably not a coincidence. So Richard Simmons dead at 76. 76, 7 plus 6, there's your 13. We've talked about this a lot in this channel this year, how many celebrities are dying at 76 on that 13 number. So Richard Simmons dies at 76, 7 plus 6, 13 on July 13th. And just for good measure here on Yahoo, the picture they choose to post of Richard Simmons is in New York City. We've talked about a lot about on this channel about the possibility of, right out of the words of Barack Obama, a nuke being dropped on Manhattan. Those are Barack Obama's words. We've talked about the cover on the New Yorker magazine of tsunami waves, but what an interesting choice of picture. Richard Simmons in his black and white Masonic garb in New York City, and this is at the 2013 Macy's Parade. So another death that happened really recently, I wasn't real familiar with this guy, was Joe Bonsol of the country band the Oak Ridge Boys. I guess this guy was kind of like a minor celebrity. Here we see Joe Bonsol dies. Jesus family always came first. I sure hope this guy was saved. I don't know, but the reason I'm pointing this out, he died at 76. 76, that 7 plus 6, 13, that 13 number, and he died on July 9th, just a couple days ago. And, of course, we had 3 months ago O.J. Simpson dying at 76. As you see it right here, 76, 7 plus 6, 13. O.J. Simpson was another celebrity death at 76. We did a video on this channel talking about Richard Lewis dying back in February at age 76, just a couple weeks after the premiere of the final Curb Your Enthusiasm season. We talked about that in a video a couple months ago. Richard Lewis dead at 76 in February. Then we also talked about Carl Weathers, another celebrity dying at 76, February 2nd, right before the Super Bowl. Sure had the look of an alleged Super Bowl ritual. So we're having a massive number of celebrities dying at 76 on that 13 number, 7 plus 6. No different. Richard Simmons dying yesterday on that 76-13 number on July 13th, right on the same day as the Donald Trump assassination attempt. Joe Bonsol a couple days earlier. And, it's worth pointing out, obviously, there's been a lot of predictive programming in the media concerning a possible assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Here we see a photograph of Snoop Dogg, pointing a gun, obviously, at a parody of Donald Trump here. Here we see a photo from yesterday, allegedly, of the bullet streaming, flying through the air before it hits Trump. And then, of course, some of you may have seen this already. If you look at the infamous Trump card from the Illuminati card game, you see the same type of thing of what looks like a similar image of a bullet streak. Here you see right here the image apparently from yesterday they're putting out of a streaking bullet right before it hits them. Then this image from the Illuminati card game of the 90s, seemingly a very similar image that looks like a streaking bullet, right? And notice right in the middle of his head around the mouth, right in the middle of his head around the mouth. And of course we see the double pyramids, just like the Masonic square and compass. And it says, at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. So it talks about snipers. And of course, the assassination of Trump attempt, apparently on Donald Trump with that sniper on top of the roof. The guy's name I'm forgetting his name. The last name was Crooks. Middle name was Matthew. I'm forgetting the first name. And so then, of course, we have Corey Comparatori, the man who they're saying died yesterday during this shooting. At any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. Then we, to this point, have heard that Corey Comparatori died, and I've not heard anything yet about the 2 other people that were supposed to be in critical condition. And then just taking a little bit of a closer look at the Illuminati card game image. Here we have it. Illuminati New World Order card game released in 1994 predicted Trump's presidency and near assassination. So here we see charismatic leader with the blonde hair like Trump, and of course, as we just looked at, this is a little better image, the face that looks just like Trump, the streaming bullet. At any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. The Masonic pyramids, just like the square and compass, if you extend those lines, you've got the square and compass, and the square and compass right behind Trump's face. So that about brings us to an end. I want to show you one more thing, and this to me is kind of the kicker. I thought this was very interesting. This was Jesse Waters speaking right after the Biden debate debacle, June 27th. Let's hear what Jesse Waters has to say here. This is really the cherry on top. I think you'll find this very interesting.
Expectations were this low, and expectations were so low. And he did the one thing he couldn't do. He discombobulated in minute 13 of the debate. That's when everyone was paying attention. Everybody was in shock by his ashen face and his hollow voice. And then at minute 13, he just completely falls apart and comes up with, "We beat Medicare." And Jake had to save him. And CNN did a great job.
So did you catch that? He said it twice, minute 13. Let's listen again.
Expectations were this low, and expectations were so low, and he did the one thing he couldn't do. He discombobulated in minute 13 of the... He discombobulated in minute 13. He discombobulated in minute 13. He discombobulated in minute 13 of the debate. That's when everyone was paying attention. Everybody was in shock by his ashen face and his hollow voice. And then at minute 13, he just completely falls apart and comes up with, "We beat Medicare." Completely falls apart. And then at minute 13, he just completely falls apart. And then at minute 13, he just completely falls apart. And then at minute 13, he just completely falls apart. And then at minute 13, he just completely falls apart.
So there you have it. No coincidence. And just so you made sure he heard you, Jesse Waters said that twice. It's kind of one thing to say it once, but he drove it home like hammer, like boom, like hammering a nail into wood. Minute 13 with Biden. He drove that. He said it twice for emphasis, just like in the Bible. When God says something twice, he's emphasizing something. You better listen. Well, Jesse Waters nailed that home, mentioning minute 13 twice as the exact time where Biden started unraveling in this debate. And of course, on this channel, we just did a video on Jesse Waters, speaking about Obama being the Messiah, when he was referring to Obama as the Messiah. And the very next night, he referred to Obama as the Messiah again. So pretty interesting. That kind of, blew my mind, as I happened to just have this clip and didn't really think I was going to use it for anything. And, I just praise God for whatever reason the Lord, I praise God in Jesus Christ's name, for whatever reason the Lord will just have me, put on the news for whatever time. And a lot of times, I don't know, I just feel like I need to check the news, and I'll catch a little tidbit that'll be of importance, something nice they say. So I praise God, and I happen to catch that. So to me, absolutely a connection there, emphasizing that 13 as the exact time, the 13-minute mark when Biden completely fell apart at the debate a couple of weeks ago. And now we have the assassination attempt of Donald Trump on July 13th, Richard Simmons dying at 76, the 13 number on July 13th as well, in a long line of these celebrity deaths with that 76, 7 plus 6, 13 numerology. So the devil works in numbers. I don't have any doubt this is all connected. Very interesting, the 13 lining up with this Trump assassination ritual. So we'll see what happens with this. Just wanted to put that out there. And, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen with this election? Who knows? We may not even be here. We may be raptured before the election happens. And, it looks like it could be a likely scenario that Donald Trump is elected, and he's kind of that false peace and security spokesperson. And brother Justin, who contributes on this channel and will send me some good information, has really talked about that, how he believes that Donald Trump will be elected and that he's going to promise peace and security.